What if the pain you wake up with every morning could be reduced by something you drink every night before bed? Not a pill, not an injection, not a prescription, just one simple glass. And the research behind it is coming from some of the most respected medical institutions in the world. A 2021 clinical trial published by the National Institutes of Health found that one specific natural drink consumed consistently before sleep significantly reduced joint inflammation markers in adults suffering from chronic joint pain in just 4 weeks. I am going to show you exactly what that drink is, what it does inside your joints while you sleep, and how to prepare it correctly for maximum benefit. Stay with me, because your mornings are about to feel very different. Now, let's talk about what is actually happening inside your joints when you feel that pain. Your joints are cushioned by a soft tissue called cartilage, and surrounding that cartilage is a thin protective lining called the synovial membrane. When this membrane becomes inflamed, it releases chemicals that break down cartilage, increase fluid pressure inside the joint, and send pain signals to your brain. This is called synovial inflammation, and it is the root cause of most joint pain, especially the kind that is worst in the morning or after long periods of rest. Here is what most people do not know. Your body does its most significant joint repair work while you sleep. Between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m., your body releases its highest levels of human growth hormone, the primary driver of tissue repair and regeneration, which means what you consume before bed directly influences how effectively your joints repair themselves overnight, and one specific drink delivers exactly what your joints need at exactly the right time. That drink is warm turmeric and ginger milk. Now, before you move on, hear the science behind this. Turmeric contains a compound called curcumin. A 2022 review published by the National Institutes of Health analyzed 15 randomized controlled trials and concluded that curcumin supplementation significantly reduced joint pain and stiffness in patients with osteoarthritis and rheumatoid arthritis, performing comparably to common anti-inflammatory medications, without the side effects. And ginger contains active compounds called gingerols and shogales. A study published in the journal Arthritis and Rheumatism found that ginger extract significantly reduced knee pain in osteoarthritis patients compared to placebo. The combination of turmeric and ginger creates a powerful dual anti-inflammatory effect, targeting the synovial membrane directly, reducing the chemical breakdown of cartilage, and allowing your body to repair joint tissue more effectively during sleep. And when prepared in warm milk, the fat content in milk significantly increases the absorption of curcumin into your bloodstream, making the entire drink measurably more effective. Here is how to prepare it correctly. Take 1 cup of warm milk. Full-fat dairy or unsweetened oat milk both work well. Add half a teaspoon of turmeric powder. Add a 1/4 teaspoon of fresh grated ginger, or ginger powder. Add a small pinch of black pepper. Now, this is important. Black pepper contains a compound called piperine. Research shows that piperine increases curcumin absorption by up to 2,000%. Without black pepper, most of the curcumin passes through your body unused. Stir everything gently together. Drink it warm, 30 minutes before bed. That is it. Simple, accessible, and backed by genuine science. Now, here is what I want you to understand. This is not a miracle cure. Joint health requires consistent daily care. But what this drink does is give your body the anti-inflammatory tools it needs at the exact moment it is most ready to use them, night after night, consistently, over time. A 2019 study from the University of Tasmania found that adults who consumed curcumin consistently for 8 weeks reported a 58% reduction in joint pain scores and a significant improvement in physical function and mobility. Not from a prescription, from consistency. And that is something you can start tonight. So here is what we know. Your joints repair themselves while you sleep. Turmeric and ginger directly reduce the inflammation that causes your morning pain. Black pepper makes the entire drink up to 2,000% more effective. And research from multiple respected institutions confirms that this combination, consumed consistently before bed, delivers real measurable relief. Start tonight. 1 glass. Before bed. And give your joints what they need while you sleep. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever tried turmeric or ginger for joint pain? Did it help? Leave your answer in the comments below. Your experience could be exactly what someone else needs to read today. If this video helped you, please share it with someone who wakes up in pain every morning. They deserve to know this. Thank you for watching. Take care of your joints. They carry you through every single day.